Hello everyone, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:30, and all of our directors are in attendance with the exception of Haley Pendergraft. She was not able to join us tonight, and we have several of our student board reps with us as well, and DT is going to be joining us on the dais. If you could please rise, she's going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to agenda item 2.01, which is action to approve our regular meeting agenda. May I please have a motion to approve action item 2.01, approving our regular meeting agenda?
I move to approve our regular meeting. Second that.
Vice President Miller motion and Director Williams seconded. Do we have any discussion? I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of agenda item 2.01, action to approve the regular meeting agenda, passes 4-0. And that brings us to the public comment portion of our evening, and we do not have any public comments tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and just skip that section and move right along to agenda item 4.01, which is our student board representative report. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to highlight is the play that just went on at the high school, the play that goes wrong. It was these past 2 weekends on the 4th and 5th and then the 11th and 12th. And it was an amazing production by our Tahoma drama club. We all know that they're all very committed actors and actresses that participate in that. And I went to one of their shows and it was really good. They also had like 2 different casts this time around, and I'm pretty sure that was to accommodate a large portion of students who want to participate in the program, which I thought was very good, to allow more students to be able to develop their talents and to showcase their abilities. And the next production that's going to happen is The Lightning Thief, which is in school based on like the Percy Jackson books, if you guys know them. So I think that's going to be really interesting and fun to watch. Next up, Girls Swim, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, won second at state, which is really exciting. It shows that a lot of our athletes put in a lot of effort into their sport and whatnot. And overall just shows how committed we are as a school. Another thing I wanted to talk about just kind of a while ago as well, but the Powder Puff game, which was on November 10th. That was another fun opportunity. Like, it was juniors versus seniors. The seniors won, and I'm a senior, so. But that was really fun. I wasn't able to go, but I heard it was very good energy and whatnot. And then lastly, what I wanted to highlight was like the drives that are happening at our school. We just had a thankful food drive hosted by Interact Club during these past 2 weeks, and we raised a lot of food as a school. And then right now we also have the hygiene drive going on where people can donate items, hygiene items just for people in our community. And both of these kind of just highlight the partnerships we have with our community as students want to help out. Because I remember last year when we did a hygiene drive, it wasn't just for people here in Maple Valley, because we partnered with Corner of Love, which helps people in other nations, and we actually donated a lot of these hygiene items to people in Nicaragua. So these things just show how students are helping out even people in our community, but also just on a wider scale. So I thought that was important to highlight. And that's all for tonight, so thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will now move on to the presentation, discussion, and action item of the evening. And as we move on to this section, I'd like to remind my fellow board directors that we have agreed on using round robin to ensure that each member has equal opportunity to speak. So we're going to keep our discussion length per agenda item to 20 minutes, which I'm going to monitor, and individual board members' discussion to 3 minutes, which Mrs. Wheeler is going to monitor for us. Each director's time will begin with the first word they speak and will continue through the responses that are provided. So to kick things off, we're excited to welcome our Glacier Park crew. This is agenda item 5.01, our Missoula Children's Theater celebration.
We did the slides. Awesome. Give it just a second. So, while we were performing in the high school play, we had the amazing privilege of having our very first live Missoula performance with our students. You notice I have the Tahoma cares across the top. If you go to the next slide today. So, and I'm going to let the 2 guests of honor do most of the speaking. But as I reflected on how does this fit in with our Tahoma cares work that we're doing in our system, could have chosen any of them. and found connections. But really the one that really stood out to me was the welcome and belonging piece. And we know that we want all of our students, families, and staff to feel included, respected, and important. So I thought, why not bring along two very important stars of the show to share with you how the experience impacted them. So AJ, if you could go to the next slide. So this is Lily and Kaylee, who are going to tell you about their experience. So, all right. Okay.
I enjoyed the Missoula play at school. I liked how everyone gets the opportunity to be in the play. The play has both big and small parts, and it's fun no matter what part you get. The play also has groups, so you're never alone on stage. A Missoula actor is there to help. Hosting Nick and Josh, the actors, was one of my favorite parts. I like seeing them after rehearsals. Hi, I'm Lily. During Missoula earlier in the year, I was by sea. Being in Missoula was an inspiring chance for me to learn a lot of things. I used to hate working in teams because it was very frustrating and difficult to get anything accomplished. But Missoula taught me that if everyone cooperates, amazing things can happen. We put on a seemingly impossible play twice for practicing for only 4 days. A lot of adults in our school, like Miss Gaston and our dean, have told me that my behavior has been a lot better, especially when working in groups. I love Missoula so much. I wish older grades could do Missoula productions too. Ever since being in Missoula's Johnny Appleseed, I've been much more peaceful. Missoula is a great chance to learn what working in a team can accomplish. Also, being in Missoula taught me and my fellow actors a lot of good life skills. Thank you for hearing me out.
They really said it best, but if you have any questions, we are happy to answer those.
Do you have questions or comments? Vice President Torrance?
Yeah, I mean, I can't not speak to polar bears. It's amazing. I'm just reflecting on what you said. There's a lot of really wonderful things in there that you learn to work as a team, that you enjoy it, that, oh my goodness, 4 days of rehearsal and then you put on an entire play, like twice. That's incredible. And I'm really proud of you. You should be too. I'm wondering, one, it sounds like it was fun, but I just want to ask, okay, yeah, it was fun. But secondly, like what was there dancing and singing and all of that too? What was your favorite part?
So me and Kaylee were in a big scene where we were first introduced to Johnny Appleseed, our friend Sam, and we did a lot of like hand movements, and at one part we sang a song, and there's a lot of singing and dancing, and in the finale, which was on the first slide, that was the finale, they ended the show of this. We sang 2 songs that were from the earlier parts of the play. I agree. I really enjoyed hanging out with lots of my friends, and everyone had fun. Some people were really nervous, I was really nervous then, but we knew everyone would be there helping us and enjoy this play. We know that everyone cares and that we should always trust each other and never give up our hopes and dreams.
Ah, great. Well done. Thank you.
Student reps, do you have any questions? I just wanted to say, so I was just wondering, is this implemented at all the elementary schools or just right now at Ocean Park?
Just right now at Ocean Park.
There'll be some performances at a few of the other schools. It's an optional, not every school participates in it. Our PTSA very generously covered the cost. So students pay to participate, but and scholarships are offered for students who need it for a PTA. But there's also a fee that is covered by the tuition that students pay that our PTSA very generously pays for. And at Glacier, we just have 3 shows over the course of the year because we don't want anyone to be cut. We want to make sure that they might not, everybody auditions for the certain parts, but everybody gets to participate that wants to.
Okay, thank you.
I just want more of a comment than a question, but I remember when my son did the theater, and he was a lobster. No speaking part, but it was some of the best 5 minutes of the play. At that point, but you two, my comments directed to two young ladies. You seem extremely confident to me as you stand up there and you present on the experience. And confidence is something I'm so excited to see in our students. And so I'm glad that the program is there to give you opportunities. And so I hope that you continue to stay involved in those types of things as you go up and embrace the school district. And because there's plenty of opportunities. Director Miller and I, our daughters, just were in the middle school play, the Pearson Higher Frank. And it's the same contagious kind of confidence, no matter where you go through there, because those actors walk out of those productions and they have that same kind of confidence that you have. So please keep that up, spread that around. We need that. We need contagious confidence. So.
And both of their daughters are polar bears as well.
Yes. True. Yeah, there's a lobster, but he was a lobster.
Yeah. But the current actress is a polar bear.
So thank you very much.
Thank you all so much for coming tonight. This has been a wonderful way to start our meeting, so we're really grateful.
Mrs. Gaston, Ms. Goodale, if you guys want to bring the girls up front, Lily and Kaylee, we can do a picture with the board.
And the parents as well.
If parents want to take a picture of them.
All right. You want to set that right there?
So we are going to continue the celebrations with agenda item 5.02, which is our Green Team update. And we are going to be joined by our special guest, Green Team Coordinator, Crystal Esselin.
And Mrs. Gaston, you guys
Is that okay?
leave. It's going to be a long night, so
Okay.
you're welcome to get up and walk
We have a
out.
spirit of
Mr.
assembly.
Baker, you're welcome.
We might go. Okay.
This is my green, well, part of my green team. These are my green team leaders. I'm Crystal Asplund. I also teach AP and environmental science. I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to let my students do most of the talking today. So, take it over.
I'm Sharon. I'm the president of Green Team, and I'm a senior, and this is actually my 4th year in Green Team, so I really enjoy getting to work with a group of amazing young people that care about the community.
Hi, I'm UJ, and I'm the Vice President of Green Team, and I'm a junior. I've actually been in Green Team since 7th grade, which is really crazy. I'm like the biggest part of Green Team for me is like living sustainably, like reduce, reuse, recycle. I really love that aspect.
I'm Katie. I've been in Green Team for 4 years, and I'm also a senior, and I'm just really interested in saving the earth, and I think it's just a really cool opportunity for us to help.
So who we are? We're a group of high school students that come together every Wednesday to make a difference in our environment and our community. And we accept all people from our school with all the grades, no matter what class you're in. And we try to include as many students at our school as we can. As you'll hear in a second, we have volunteer opportunities during some of our events that we do, and it's really cool. All right, as a Green Team, we're most connected to climate and culture and partnerships. Climate and culture, just because that's basically what our team is all about, creating a culture that really cares for our environment, our climate, and just like our future lives, you know. And then partnerships, we partner with like local kind of communities and programs. Like when we volunteered and partnered up with the elementary schoolers to make recycled ornaments out of Pringles cans, which is so cute. But not only local things, we also do like nationwide things. This year we're planning to do a program called Tree Plenish, which basically we get volunteers from like our area and we plant trees in our area, which is so cool. And this is like a nationwide thing. So there's places in like Tennessee that are doing this, and it's awesome to be a part of that. Our goals for this year, so our first goal is to make our school more green and sustainable. In my eyes, I think we could definitely like cut down on like our trash, like during lunches and like just like paperwork in schools. I think making a stronger connection between community and environment is super important. Once we create a community that cares for our environment, that just becomes so much more special. And promoting a lifestyle of reduced waste to the Maple Valley community. I always say, like, imagine if every single person in the Maple Valley community was like a bit more sustainable than we are now. Like recycled a bit more, reused a bit more. That would make such an incredible difference in our earth. And I think that's just awesome. And our last goal is more quantitative, where we want to take 40 plus bags of trash every year from the Maple Valley area. And what's awesome is we actually achieved this goal last year by one of our past events, which Sharon's going to talk about now.
So, like you just talked about, during the Earth Day Day competition, we actually partnered with the community, the city council, and it was actually a competition where we like had over 20 volunteers and we collected over 40 bags of trash, and that was pretty amazing. And during like a normal school year, we would have power patrols like throughout the school, so we go to teachers' classrooms and make some recommendations on how they can be more sustainable in their energy consumption. And something that UJ also brought up was the upcycling craft of the elementary school kids. We actually did a Zoom call with them, and even though not many people showed up, but it was a recording, and they could go home and actually take things that they don't use anymore and actually make it something that is more meaningful. And this year, something really big we did was a thrift store at our Tahoma High School. So all the students are welcome to donate anything they don't wear, and after that we organize everything and we put it in a classroom where people can come during lunch to actually pick up clothes for free, and teachers can participate in that too. But yeah. And where are we going this year? So like you talked about, we're planning on doing Tree Plenish. So we get to partner with the high school for volunteer opportunities, and we're going to partner with actually everyone in the city could participate in this, because we're going to need a lot of volunteers. We're going to need people willing to give up some of their land for the trees, and we can also have people donate money or their time to help plant the trees. And we're planning to offset our school's energy consumption. And we're also planning on doing a community center garden. We wanted to do something that's more, that could get our members more involved. We could do more field trips, so we can definitely work on that. And we're also planning on more thrift store events, because this is a first time thing for us, and not many people were able to bring in the clothes on time. And so we're thinking of doing another one next year, so that people who did not get a chance to do it during this past month could participate. And in April, which is when the Earth Week happens, we wanted to do a district-wide cleanup event. So like last year, we actually did it just within Tahoma High School, and this year we're going to partner with the other elementary schools, middle schools in the district, so that we can clean a greater area of Maple Valley. And most importantly, we want to educate others on proper disposals once the compost returns. Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Director Wiggins?
I like your presentation. Thank you. That was actually really well. Very concise, answered all my questions before I could ask them. So thank you. well done. I'm interested, like, I love that you have this group to like do something that you're really passionate about in terms of environmental concerns and protection. What do you, and maybe one of the activities you could say, give a, maybe just an explanation to us, like, what do you get from this person? Like, I know how it benefits the community, clearly we can see that, but what do you get from this as like a student or as a young person? Or how's that?
At least for me. So when I first joined Green Team, it was actually because my friend was in Green Team and she forced me to join it. But then we had this event where we cleaned up invasive species around our school area. And like it was difficult because we were cutting like plants and it was just like chop, chop, chop. But after doing that, I realized like how amazing it felt to like at least like make like a small difference in our community. And I think that is so important to feel, and especially that like really like changed my voice as a younger, like when I was younger. Like I want to like improve like our earth. I want to like, help our earth.
For me, I also joined because my friend forced me to. But after actually getting involved in the club, like I realized that because before that, like I know like all these environmental things are happening, like climate change and like global warming. So like I didn't know what I can do for that. But like after getting involved in the club, it was like me like as a high schooler, like a tiny high schooler, like in Rainbow Valley, can do something for the entire city and even greater, like tree climbers, you can go like nationwide. So like I found, I guess, purpose for like, you know, why I want to do things. Instead of just like, yeah, I can't do anything, so let's just let someone else figure it out.
And for me, it's kind of the same thing. I was also forced to join. Not forced, I joined willingly. But just like you can meet new people there, and when you don't have anyone else to help you like save the earth, it's like overwhelming. It's like, you know, you feel kind of like useless. But when you're like in a team and you work together, you can step back and like look at all the work that you did and just feel proud. And it's great. Everyone working together.
Vice President Miller?
Well, I think it's impressive. Here's three wonderful students standing in front of us that, you know, willingly or unwillingly entered this club, and now they're officers with this incredible passion and purpose. And I imagine kind of a recruiting message to those coming up behind you. It's just tremendous. Thank you for investing into our community the way you have. And you know, just an investment yourselves as well. I have two quick questions. One, I wondered when the tree plenish thing is happening, do you have a date for that? And secondly, I wanted to, UJ, I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned that you were involved in this effort back to 7th grade. Is that something that is offered in our middle schools too? Maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
Can I answer the second question?
Yes.
That's right.
Awesome. So I didn't go to middle school here. I actually went to middle school at Issaquah High School, which is where they offer that program.
Okay.
And then I also went, not Issaquah High School, sorry, Issaquah Middle School. Issaquah Middle School for 7th grade, 8th grade. Yeah. And then 9th grade, I also did Issaquah High School Green Team over virtual when I moved here, and then I joined Green Team.
Gotcha. Okay. Good to know.
But we do offer it at all elementary schools and middle schools in the Tahoma School District. We're also stated in green.
So on tree plenish, from November to December, it's like the planning time, and starting from January all the way through like March, it's more like getting volunteers, donations, and sponsors. And the actual planting season is around March to May, so that's like the perfect like temperature for the trees to grow.
Mm-hmm. We got some people that are interested, so keep us posted.
And they even they work with us to figure out what types of trees we can and should plant in the community. So we go with only native species as well. So it's even good.
Great.
Yeah, thanks. Wonderful presentation. Two questions for you. How are you looking to grow the enrollment? I think what you're doing is great, but how do you extend that to other classmates?
So we actually created like an Instagram, and we're using it a lot more frequently. We're connecting with like other clubs and stuff like that. But I'm hoping, we have a club at school called the Interact Club, which is like a charity kind of club. I was thinking like it would be awesome to partner up with them. Yeah, just like partnering with like other like clubs and just like advertising ourselves on social media.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you guys showed it. You were forced to do it, it sounds like, but then once you do it, it's really outstanding and really rewarding, right? And so my second question along the lines, are there any plans beyond high school to continue this work?
At least for me, I'm actually looking, so the program that we're doing is Tree Pledge. I'm actually looking to how I can participate in that as a college student. And I'm also like, I'm like half and half between like going into like computer science or environmental science again.
Yes, and for Tree Pledge, they actually, the program is run by college students. So I'm looking into how, as a college student, I can come back and lead the programs. And actually in college, I plan on majoring in biology, so I want to see how I can connect that to environmental science.
And where I'm going to college, I don't even know if there's a green team, so I would love to just like go to a club and like connect with people, you know, like start getting more people involved in different things like that.
Awesome, thanks.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I will just say, like, I know since I go to school, like, that you guys did amazing work, and like, I actually really wanted to go to that thrift store you guys had. I used to sit that day. But like, I just feel like a lot of the opportunities you guys do are really cool, and we're just glad you guys are here at your school. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Slayton and Madison, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nothing.
And Superintendent Hanson?
I just, it's bucket filling to get to listen to you guys talk about the positive experiences that you're having with it. And I want to take a second to acknowledge Don Wakely in the back. I'm thinking of our 25-year journey with Green Team and Green Schools and where we've been and where we're at now. And I'm thinking, Lori, about our connections with McKinstry and the amount of electricity and energy that we've saved as a system here. And then Crystal, my gratitude to you for the work that you put in for all of the adults making this possible for our kids. And it's just really uplifting to listen to you. So thank you.
If I could be so bold as to just suggest that as you Director Caron's question and comments, share your story with people, not just the environmental part, it's important, that's kind of the mission, but share the way that's helped you and impacted you, because I do think there are lots of kids that are looking for that purpose. They're looking for that sense of being able to make a difference, because there's a lot of big problems in the world. There's a lot of big challenges, and sometimes I think we get stuck, like we can't solve them. There's like nothing we can do when we're sitting and watching them kind of unfold on social media or whatever. But this was a bucket thing, like the Superintendent Hanson's point is that you're creating opportunities for people to actually get their hands in the dirt, pardon the pun, and actually make a difference. And I think as you think about growing your cohort, think about sharing those personal stories, because I think those will resonate with a lot of people. They certainly resonate with me and the board. So that would just be a little suggestion I would have as you go on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
I always have to stand in the front.
Look great, Crystal.
That's the short person thing. Where do I put my arms?
I know, it's the T record.
Yeah.
Thank you all so
much. Thank you.
An early exit to you all as well. We know you have an early morning tomorrow, so please feel free to leave. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to move on to agenda item 5.03, which is our Transportation Tahoma Cares update. And we're going to have our fabulous transportation department join us.
guys for having us here. One thing we want to do tonight, well, first let me introduce myself. Lori Eriks, Jamie Pinn, Shannon Hayden, Carrie Walston, Elizabeth Simmons. This is our subgroup that makes up the daily work that we're doing and we take back to the large group. And so we're pretty excited this year to get to start doing this again. As soon as school started, we got through the first book that are getting kids to school. And we started diving right into this. Every staff meeting we have, Tahoma Cares lives. That's what we told them when we brought this to them last year, that this will be a living document and we'll look at it every time we meet. And we're doing that. So I just want to give a little overview of what they're going to cover tonight. We started going through our first meetings this year, and what we wanted to do was, before we were going to be doing an update at this point, just look at what did we do previously, where are we at, and how do we start reaching for some of those goals and targets we set up. So that's what our meetings are targeting, and that's what we've been working on, and we're pretty happy with where we are at the moment. So we're going to start off with Jamie Pinn.
Adrian. I have to say that the kids before did an awesome job. It's like, I'm a little intimidated, but it's okay. This slide here, this is the first, our core responsibilities, our beliefs, and our values. We went over this and we felt that it was where it should be. However, we had decided that we were going to do another value survey. We did that at the beginning. Before they kind of knew what Tahoma Cares meant. And so now that they know what it means, we decided to do another survey. And so we did that. There we go. Thank you. Is it 8? So this is what we did our thing. There's a few mistakes because somebody did it, not just me. I made a couple mistakes, but I fixed those after this. But our top values were still in line with what we had on the previous page. So, and we felt really good about that. Next page. There we go. This one, our Tahoma Care goals, we're currently taking another look at these Tahoma Care goals to possibly make additions to it now that we got the survey and some survey questions that we had put out with the survey. We need to go over that as well. And
This is the tool that we use to evaluate our key actions and dashboard measures.
When you click up 2 slides, we're going to cover that on the third. Thank you.
Okay, as we looked at our key actions, we also looked at our measurements and compared how we were doing versus last school year. We have a copy, and you can see we have made some progress in several places. We will not go through all of them, but we wanted to touch base on a few.
So on number 2, encourage more group activities. We changed that from last year from orange to green, since we're able to collaborate again or congregate again and have more potlucks and get back together. We as transportation, we like our food, so we like to have our potlucks. So far this school year, we've had a retirement breakfast, a Halloween costume and potluck. We also had a big Thanksgiving feast. The end of last school year, we had a very big Western themed party in our big tent outside. It was great. We all enjoyed it. We did it midday, so we had almost the entire transportation there, so that was good. So that was a huge success.
Number 5 is something that we'll be keeping an eye on. We went from red to orange in this area. Reasons for leaving employees employment, and share with the CARES team so that we can, if we haven't had anybody leave this year, so we haven't had anything to talk about in that area, but it is definitely on our radar. And we all staff space training. And that one is close to my heart. I love space training. I've had it a few times in my position with PSE, but we've talked about possibly having, being able to share space training and set that up with our department, or possibly wider with classified. So we're very excited in changing that from orange to green.
And then the last one we're going to talk about is adequate staffing for mid-valley events. We are green there. We very successfully completed Ironman. We had 36 employees get up at what our 100. We started our shift at 3 a.m. And we, like I said, we had 36. That's half of our driving fleet. They worked different shifts. Most of them were there at 3 o'clock. We ended at 7:30, so in the evening. So it was a long day for some drivers, but that was really good. Maple Valley Days was happening again this year, so they cut it a little shorter than normal. We had 5 drivers this year between Saturday and Sundays on 2-hour shifts, so that was good. Halloween trick or treat, sorry. This is one of the kids' favorites. It's close to me. I've done it quite a few times for the last few years. We get toddlers that try to climb on our bus. They'll be that big yellow bus. We have middle schoolers with hang-ups, so that's really good. We usually have 2 drivers for that event. We have holiday lights coming up here in the next week, so we'll have a couple of drivers for a few hours there. And it's a great way for us to just get out in the community, a great partnership positive partnership between the district and the city. So that's it. Thank you.
I can add to that also. We stayed yellow in our bottom area with the partnerships because of a few reasons. One thing was we wanted to adopt a road, and we discovered that it's harder than you think to adopt a road. So we're still working on that, but it's not as easy as it could be. And I can highlight a few of our measurement list and some of the things that we're doing. The diversity, we're trying to work on our diversity, and at our potlucks, we're sharing more of meals from our backgrounds and our other cultural influences. Our Sunshine Committee period had, COVID had kind of choked us out. It was almost non-existent. The people that had been trying to work through COVID were frustrated because we just couldn't all get together. And right now, we're back bigger than ever. And I think that's helping the whole thing. We're getting to have as Shannon said, we're getting to have our things together at different events, and our rate response training is, you guys probably know, is up to date and we're current. Something else that I thought about was that we had divided up our whole staff amongst all of us as their representatives so that we can get into smaller groups. And I just thought about that this afternoon. I think that's all I can think of at the moment.
They're actually downplaying a lot of what this group does. We would be here for a while to go through what our meetings consist of. We're very hard on ourselves when it comes to changing color. We really feel we have to have earned it. When we're starting to do some of the color changes, say, did we move up? Yes, on some of them we thought we did and we could have, but we're like, is it enough? On some of those we left, some of those are the same. We want to make sure that we're earning what we do. We're earning enough to go up and accomplish our team. So they've done an outstanding job. We meet every 2 weeks with a small committee and we go back to work. Any questions?
Dr. Kirian?
Yeah, I may have missed that, apologize, but the red one up there, optional monthly classes training, can you expand on that? I think it's red, optional, it's right in the middle there.
Oh, optional monthly classes.
Well, I was really excited about this one. I think that we're working on, we're in the beginning stages of talking about this, but this would be an optional class for people to come during the middle of the day, maybe for a half an hour. And if somebody has questions about backing or how do you secure this is all training that we've all had, but I've been driving for 15 years and I don't drive a special ed bus every day. So maybe I want a refresher on, securing a wheelchair or something that interests me. And so we really need to get feedback from the drivers on what areas would you like brushing up on? And, keeping this relative to what we do and making it something that can be a time that we can gather and share ideas and, even for a half an hour makes a big difference for the group. So that's.
So progressing, it just hasn't really.
Yeah, just.
Right, I think Shannon had put up a sign up, or we were creating a sign up for them to just let us know what training would you like.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just want to make sure that red wasn't because of the roadblock here.
No, not really,
No.
just figuring out what it is they want rather than just assign training.
Thank you.
Superintendent Hanson?
Yeah, thanks. I want to talk a little bit, everybody hit on it, but I'll talk mostly about what Shannon was sharing about. The theme really was around climate and culture and how are you creating that sense of belonging for employees and the folks that you get to work with and become your transportation family. And you hit on a bunch of different ones, the events that you do, the times you come together, the partnerships with the city. The piece for me, the gratitude, I guess, for the 5 of you is when I go to meetings with other superintendents, a really common topic is transportation driver shortage. And we don't have to have the same conversation that a lot of our neighbors are having. It's because of the work that you guys do. And it's you taking care of each other. When we sit and talk about staffing concerns, it's just a different conversation. We don't have the same problems that others do. So thank you for recognizing that people matter and taking care of each other. So thank you. Thanks, Tom.
And student reps, I'm going to come to you in just a second, but I want to build off of that because that's actually what I was going to comment on. You all put that teamwork is one of your values, and I think you could replace that with family very easily. When you walk into the transportation department, you can feel in the air that you all truly care about each other. Your events are productions, and it's not just because you enjoy event planning, it's also because you truly care about the people who are there, and you care about taking care of them and showing every single human in that space that they are valued and seen. And so that starts with you, the leaders, and it's truly remarkable. And as an outsider coming into that space, I hope you know that it's very clear, very evident that you're doing just phenomenal work. I have a question. So I'm curious, I know a couple of years ago, this was before the pandemic, we were looking at installing cameras on the stop signs, and then that company shuttered its doors, so that was no longer an option. Have we gotten any leads on an alternative?
We have not found anybody that is doing that program now. So what we do choose to do would be separately purchasing all the camera gear, everything that goes with that whole thing, and then still seeing then if we can get an interlocal agreement with King County and so forth. So I don't know of anybody that has found that yet.
Okay, thank you. Student reps, I promised I was going to come back to you. Do you all have any questions or comments? Slayton?
I was just wondering if you could elaborate on space training. Just what does that entail?
Space training. Can you help me with that?
So SPACE is an acronym, and it's a communication tool that's used across our district. The S is for silence, the P is for paraphrase, A is for accepting language, C is for clarifying questions, E is asking for evidence. It's 5 different pieces that when you're doing those all well as a group and communicating together, you're probably communicating better.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. And again, I feel a little bit like a broken record, but please feel free to go home because we know you have very early starts tomorrow, so thank you.
Thank you guys.
We will move on to agenda item 5.04, which is our first reading revised policy 6600 transportation. And Director of Transportation Tom Missoula is going to continue joining us.
In the new language that came out, the only addition to this, and when it was sent over to me, it was asked, do I see a real issue with this? Is there anything really kind of concern with? And I did not see any real challenge for us. It's something that's very workable. What it basically states is that any student that is eligible for transportation that has an infant, we will either put on our buses or basically arrange other transportation for them. They have to be rear-facing child restraint seats. But other than that, it's just a matter of if we cannot get them on our buses. So we're thinking basically we sped buses because of the child restraint seats facing rear-facing. Then we will end up having to use some of our outsourced Opposite Drive or ALC or one of those other resources that we use already to partner with them to get those students to school.
Do we have any questions or comments?
So this is not something we do now. Sorry.
No,
So this would be.
this is new.
This would be new. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Agenda item 5.05 is action to approve the Summit Trail Middle School and Mapleview Middle School hot water heater replacements. May I please have a motion to approve agenda item 5.05, action to approve STMS and MVMS hot water heater replacements.
I move to approve the middle school hot water heater replacements.
Cheater.
Second.
Vice President Miller motioned and Director Wiggins seconded. And Supervisor of Operations John Kelly is now going to join us to answer questions and present to the board.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President, Vice President, Director. It's always an honor to come before you to talk about these important issues to keep our students warm and safe and dry in schools. Hot water tanks at the secondary schools are starting to get old, so we put some money in the budget to replace them this year. And we went out for bids, Holiday Parts, Biomechanical, and Hermson, and came back with recommendation. Biomechanical came up the lowest bid. They also had some criteria, and Biomechanical was able to take those criteria. The goal is to do one campus during February break, the other campus during the April break, and get things moving forward. I'm going to lead an evaluation team, which is Cody Bowden, specialist from maintenance, Mark Sutton, specialist from maintenance, assistant director of operations, Kyle Hood, and then Cindy Darcy, the purchaser, was on that committee too. I was on that committee to sort it out. Biomechanical came out with the lowest bid. They recommend that from the evaluation team. And they said they can meet the timeline, so meet all the expectations. So pretty straightforward. Remember last month I came to do preventive maintenance and purposely got that month. So it's kind of switched here. So it's kind of neat, cool. So pretty straightforward. If you ever want to come see a hot water tank, we're willing to show you around.
Questions or comments? Yes, Director Wiggins.
And so there's two. It does get me thinking, like amongst all the buildings, are there others that we will anticipate seeing coming up in the near or intermediate future that we want the same kind of replacement?
I get back to that question when I talk to Cody and Cindy Darcy about the superintendent will get back to you. I'll make sure I have my facts straight before
Sean, would we be able to look back at the capital projects that were approved, and that should have the list, so we would have access to that? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
We should. Okay.
I can show you the facts right.
These were related to, these were the schools that we will be working on with the upgrades, and we didn't include it with the original contract because we can do it for less expense if we were to actually perform that ourselves. So that's the reason why these schools are being completed at this time. We've completed other schools along the process, and it's just from school to school, looking at those holiday years.
Yeah, Sean, I more comment, just, we were in Washington this past week, and I was sharing some stories with district members, and unfortunately, we are as a district, Tahoma, there's other school districts that aren't able to do this, unfortunately, and just unfortunately, we aren't able to do this for our children. It's really the response to that.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of agenda item 5.05, action to approve STMS and MVMS hot water heater replacements passes 4-0. And that brings us to agenda item 5.06, which is our first reading retire policy 2337, addressing cultural traditions. And we now have Director of Equity, Tony Davis, joining us.
Good evening. This is a fairly simple process. When we review policies, recognizing that this one was retired by WASA, and it's just a logical step for us to retire the policies based on their recommendations.
Questions or comments?
Just as I was reading through it, it just seems like the equity policy we passed back in the spring is much more comprehensive than this was in many respects. And so you're not even going to
That's where, agree. For us, that's where we move to.
Right, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Agenda item 5.07 is review and revise procedure 3124P, removal, release of student during school hours. And Assistant Director of Human Resources, Scott Mitchell, will be present to answer questions.
This one is a change in the procedure to kind of meet with law around non-residential parents being able to pick up their kids from school as well. It's something that we've been doing for a long time. We just didn't update the procedure to follow that. So that's the biggest change. Everything else is, we got rid of a form that you don't actually need anymore because it happens.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, how does that flow down to the schools and the administrators and the front office to make sure this is followed?
They're already doing this. This is just annoying that we've been doing this in schools for years. And
then also to clarify, anytime we have a change in policy or procedure, after it's been approved, immediately the following day, Tamara is emailing the entire staff.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Actually, can I
Yes.
keep going this?
Yeah.
For one more second, and this is procedure, so this is just for education. In section C, it says when in doubt as to who has custodial rights, school district will rely on enrollment records to determine basically the implementation of that section of release of the student. So residential rights, custodial rights are perhaps different than residential rights. So how does that work? Does that put the school in somewhat of an awkward position of making determinations related to enrollment that may not accurately reflect custodial rights, because you can have split custody? So how does the school handle that from a procedural standpoint?
The custodial part of it, like for instance, if a non-custodial parent were to pick up on a day that they're not supposed to, or
yeah, I mean, residence is, my understanding, residence is different than custody, right?
Correct.
If the enrollment records will reflect residential status, or may not reflect accurately, or not at all, custodial status.
the custodial status that we do get, I think it's at that last part where it's the parents will furnish that accurate update regarding custodial rights.
Okay.
And so where that comes in is parenting plans, and a lot of the times we have those in place, and there's other documentation as well, if there's restraining orders, things like that, to be able to.
So the parents have to be proactive in providing that
Correct.
time to exercise.
It's the parents, it's the parents' responsibility to make sure they provide those things with us.
Thank you.
Which does come up at times.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 5.08 is reviewing retire procedure 3415P, accommodating students with diabetes, and Director of Special Services, Annette Wilson, is joining us. Hello, I wanted to thank Tamara for the audit of the policy and procedure, because way back in April, we adopted an update on the policy for diabetes and didn't realize that it totally negated the procedure. It just repeats everything. And this actually goes back to 2003, so it seems like it's a good time to do the retirement of this part.
Do we have any questions or comments? Thank you. Agenda item 5.09 is first reading revised policy 4210, regulation of dangerous weapons on school premises. And Operations Supervisor Sean Kelly will be present to answer questions.
President, Vice President. This is kind of an update from WASDA. Really, the big one is we can't bring weapons anymore to school board meetings or anything like that. So for the big one, went into law last year. Actually, this year. That's a big one there. And then that's pretty much the big one right there. It's school board meetings, and we already have our signs up around campuses about firearms, what you can and can't have campuses. What we're going to work on pretty soon is we need to do some of the different languages. So we have a lot more population of people languages. We get a couple more other schools who are doing that now. So I'll be able to specialists to see what the top 2 languages are being used right now, so we can have them on campuses. Everything else is pretty supportive. Some language changes here and there. Any questions or anything about that?
Vice President Hahn?
I do have one. We in the area that speaks to exceptions, we have had off-district property meetings for retreats and so forth at various places around Maple Valley and surrounding areas. And the second set of bullets here speaks to, I guess my question is the gun-free policy and so forth must be, one, do we vet that in our, when we're out looking for venues for those types of things, just to make sure that they've got policy around this too, before we sign up to be part of, or to do an event there. And then secondly, just the wording on the second letter B that shows up in that section as to concealed permits. The first section says persons with concealed weapons permits issued pursuant to RCW who are picking up or dropping off students is a exception. And then the second one just says persons attending official meetings of the school board held on off-district owned or leased property. That implies that just anybody that shows up at a official meeting of the school board off property would be able to carry a weapon. I wonder if we need to insert concealed permit into that sentence too. Those are my 2 questions. One, do we vet the venues as to the policy, and secondly, maybe a word change.
As far as vetting these venues, I'm not sure. We've had retreats over at church, sometimes a lodge, and historically locations in Washington. I've not been involved in these conversations before. As far as dropping students off, if a parent comes and drops their kid off and it's so good on them, like they're permitted and stuff like that, they're fine. We have that happen. Figure out what they're supposed to come. As far as, I hear what you're saying, so if you want me to take this back and bring it back, I can, but at the same time in the future.
I'm just curious. I mean, when I was reading it, particularly because the concealed weapons permit piece was mentioned in letter A, it made me think that when I continued to read, I expected it would just be there in letter B as like a theme that we're talking about weapons, concealed permits. But it wasn't there. It just struck me as odd. Anybody could just show up with a concealed weapon at an off-district property meeting. It just felt like it was off the intent of this policy.
I would say there is a difference. I don't know what the reconciliation is, but I think from policy and just having been in law enforcement, there is specific policies geared towards school premises because of the proximity to children.
Sure.
And so if the board is deciding to hold a meeting in a non-district premises, Washington still has open carry laws that we have to be that are constitutional, or arguably constitutional rights. And so we have to be careful. I think it's a policy that we go too far on those outside of district property, because I think that's where the change is in that. And so CPLs or no CPLs, I think we'd have to get some outside.
And I'm sorry.
Yes.
Also, Superintendent Hanson is really good at making sure that when we go to your venues, we have a SRO usually around and that kind of stuff. Like he's here right now. And also, that's what I was saying, sure we can review this concurrently. So I forgot to say that over the phone.
That's all.
If I could add something, and it may be speaking to the question that you have, our school board policy 6112, rental lease of district road property prohibits carrying weapons on properties leased or rented by the school district. So that would prohibit it under House Bill 1630.
Does that apply to anybody or just to district staff?
I didn't think we've done that after the campus before. Yeah, please check, but.
Yeah, I think the policy you referenced is regards to so when we rent or lease, is that right? Rent or lease non-district property.
When we rent or lease, so when I presented on this one, the example I gave was the Children's Lodge. So if we're holding a meeting there, then the restriction of firearms would apply to that because of our policy and House Bill.
So to summarize what I'm hearing, it sounds like we would like somebody to do a deeper dive into that one line item, is that correct? So could we have that before we do our formal adoption?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we just want to understand and reconcile the things that the credit can provide. Yeah.
So I'll work on this and as a superintendent, and we'll work on 50.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Agenda item 510 is our finance and enrollment report, and tonight we're going to be joined by Chief Accountant Bill Hernandez. I'm sorry, my words are just all over the place tonight. Okay, cool.
AJ, please go down to page 3 for me, please. All right, taking a look at the October revenue. October revenue finished at $15.9 million, bringing year-to-date revenue up to $27 million, or about 18% of our budgeted total revenue for the year. AJ, could you scroll in on the very top line item up here, that apportionment item, $93 million? Perfect, that works. Now, when we take a step back, apportionment revenue is primarily based off of our enrollment. When we had budget, we had anticipated an average budgeted enrollment from September through June of about 8,667 students. As of right now, through the first 3 months of the year, this is September, October, November, we're seeing about 8,600 students flat, meaning we're about 67 students under what we had budgeted. Next month, I won't be reporting at this slide in particular. Next month, you'll see another column here added that has our estimates. Our estimates would include things like a decrease in our apportionment that we are expecting because our budgeted FT student enrollment is going to be lower than what we had originally budgeted for. We're still working on the final calculation of the dollar impacts of that amount. If you look at last year's financials, similar situation happened, but instead of being under budget by 67 students, we were under budget by 167 students due to COVID and all the enrollment variations because of that. So I'll include in that budget number is going to be joined by a separate estimate column, which would be different in that apportionment section. Because apportionment is primarily based off of enrollment. AJ, go down to page 5 for me, please. Perfect. Do not just did. Awesome. Thank you. Jump over to the expenditure side of the house. Expenditures finished about $600,000 under budget. The majority of this is related to our purchase services. So that bottom left-hand corner, purchase services finished about $500,000 under budget. This goes back to the timing difference that I talked about last month. So if you remember correctly, we had received our bill for insurance premiums back in September. We received it in September, paid in September, therefore it was reflected in those, October, and reflected in those financials. No, sorry, September, sorry. Long story short, last year we received that bill and paid that bill in October, meaning that there is just a timing difference. In September, we were over budget because of the insurance premium bill was paid, but in October, we were under budget because the insurance premium. Final little point, Jordan Miller pointed out earlier, if you look at our total payroll expenditures for October, that subtotal amount, that red variance column, it's about 14,000 or less than, what's that, 100% versus budget. Again, continuation effect of the budgeting efforts and like Thomas Mayo and Chris and HR. So continued benefits there. Any questions?
Superintendent Hanson.
Yeah, just, Bill alluded to it, and I just want to shine a light on it a little bit more. Most folks aren't aware of the roles that directors play in various areas of our system. And so we have a director who's assigned to support around wellness, we have a director who's assigned, et cetera. And we have one who supports around the area of finance. And so we meet monthly and go through the financials for multiple hours in great detail, digging in to the details and asking lots of questions. So there's a lot that happens that people don't get to see at a meeting. And I think that last point that Bill just made about the variance on salaries for October and how that number continues to get refined and the variance is getting incredibly small is a tribute to Bill and Lori and Pete who work through lots of questions and refining the process of budgeting around our salaries. So kudos to all of you guys on that.
Questions or comments? Okay, thank you so much. We will now move on to the meeting management portion of our evening. Agenda item 6.01 is action to approve our consent agenda. May I please have a motion to approve agenda item 6.01, action to approve our consent agenda?
I move to approve our consent agenda.
Second that motion.
Vice President Miller motioned and Director Reagan seconded. I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of agenda item 6.01, action to approve our consent agenda, passes 4-0. Agenda item 6.02 is action to approve our certificated personnel report. May I please have a motion to approve agenda item 6.02, approving our certificated personnel report?
I move to approve our certificated personnel report as revised.
Second that motion.
Vice President Miller motioned and Director Reagan seconded. Do we have discussion? I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Director Carolina, couldn't hear you. Did you say aye? Okay. The approval of agenda item 6.02, approving our certificated personnel report, passes 4-0. Agenda item 6.03 is action to approve our classified personnel report. May I please have a motion to approve agenda item 6.03, approving our classified personnel report?
I move to approve our classified personnel report as revised.
I second that motion.
Vice President Miller motioned and Director Wiggins seconded. Thank you. Do we have discussion? I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of agenda item 6.03, approving our classified personnel report, passes 4-0. Agenda item 6.04 is action to approve our coach personnel report. May I please have a motion to approve agenda item 6.04, approving our coach personnel report?
I move to approve our coach personnel report as revised.
Second that.
Vice President Miller motioned and Director Wiggins seconded. Do we have discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
The approval of agenda item 6.04, approving our coach personnel report as revised, passes 4-0. And agenda item 7.01 is adjournment. This meeting is adjourning at 7:39 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Tom.